Hey guys, so we're back in lockdown. How fun for us. On the other hand, hopefully that will give me some more reading time and some more YouTubing time and all that kind of thing. So I'm not going to dwell too long on that. It's about halfway through August, so I'm going to do a bit of an update on where I am with the Royal Readathon. You can see my TBR video just there. I have actually already changed at least 2 of the books that I put on the TBR, but I do that with every readathon. So the first book that I read, I counted towards the prompt for Hey Hey, a book with comedy, and it was This Will Be Funny Someday by Katie Henry. So this book is literally full of aspiring stand-up comedians, so it fits the prompt very well. But for a book ostensibly about comedy, it actually deals with quite a lot of heavy topics, and I felt it did really well. It does feature an abusive relationship, so content warning for that. There were times to do with that relationship where I just wanted to grab the main character and like shake her and be like, no, he doesn't need you to, like, anyway. So that's a sign of good writing, right? It also deals with stuff like racism and privilege, and there's a bit of disability in there. So yeah, it has a lot of good rep, or I say good rep, like I assume, I mean, I can't speak to it myself. So the main character, Izzy, her journey is really well portrayed. Like, by the end I was like, yeah, go you. And the ending, it's like the last sort of paragraph or chapter or something was just like really quite, like, you can see how far she's come, which was really cool. There are times in it where I was like, oh my god, stop thinking about yourself, think of like one other person for a change. But she did come through that out the other side. So yeah, I really enjoyed that one. I gave it 4 stars. The next book I read was The Dry by Jane Harper. This one was on my TBR for the book featuring death, which was the Ray prompt. And so yay, I finally finished this. I've only owned it for 4 years. I did see the movie in January, and unfortunately I did start remembering details. So almost the second the murderer turned up, I was like, I'm pretty sure you did it. And then there's like another plot point where I was like, oh yeah, that wasn't what they thought it was. It actually refers to this. I remember that. So that probably altered my enjoyment a little bit, but it wasn't too bad, and I still felt like the writing is really good. The atmosphere and the way Jane Harper portrays like a drought-stricken Australian small town, she nailed it. Like, I come from a fairly rural community, like not as rural as what is portrayed in the book, but reasonably, and she just nails the small town, the tensions because of, you know, nobody's got any money because of the drought, and there's gossip and there's rumors and people are holding on to grudges that they've had for 20 years. It was really good. I haven't decided whether I will read the second book in the Aaron Falk series yet, but I am going to check out some of her other books that aren't connected to this one. She's got 4 books, I think, out now. So yeah, that one also got 4 stars from me. The next book I finished was an audiobook, Sadie by Courtney Summers, and I am counting this for the Sebastian prompt, a book with music, because guess what? It's an audiobook. It had music. Part of this book is in the format of a podcast, and so for the audiobook they actually created like an opening theme jingle that played at the start of each of those chapters. So music. I don't know, this has a lot of 5-star reviews. I gave it 3 stars. I found it a little bit predictable. Like, I think what people are calling the big twist, I saw coming a mile away. I think that's the big twist. Anyway, the book is divided between 2 perspectives. There's Sadie, who is full of vengeance and revenge and is out to kill the man who killed her sister. And then the other section, the podcast, is hosted by a radio host called Wes McCrae, who 5 months later is trying to track down what happened to Sadie because she is missing and nobody knows where she ended up. The audiobook is done as a full cast, which I thought worked really well in the podcast sections because that is done as like a script. Well, I assume it's written as a script in the book. And so it made sense for all the different voices. But in Sadie's chapters, which are just written in a narrative, it actually threw me off every time another voice popped up in there. It didn't make as much sense. And there was also the fact that I didn't always feel that the voice actors necessarily fitted the characters. I still found it engaging and I still wanted to listen to it when I wasn't listening to it. So it still got 3 stars. I just didn't think it was this incredible, amazing thriller that everybody else seemed to. The last thing that I have finished so far for this readathon is Where Shadows Rise by Amy Lawrence, which was for the Olaf prompt, a book under 300 pages. So I was really excited about this because it had fairies and magic, and it was sort of a portal fantasy as far as I could tell. I did think, I gave it 3 stars, but I thought it was a little bit underdeveloped. I didn't feel like I really knew much about Sanctuary or about the magic or the main character's own power necessarily. It took me a little while to get into, but I'm still going to read the next book. So I'm still interested and intrigued enough to find out what's going on next, and hopefully there will be a bit more world building and that will be a stronger book. I own the second book, so I might as well, and hopefully I will be a bit more into that one. So those are the books that I've finished so far. I am currently reading Paddington Helps Out by Michael Bond for the children's book prompt. Off the top of my head, I can't remember which Disney character this prompt relates to. I'll put it in the text there for you. So I was planning to read Inkheart for that prompt, but Inkheart is a big boy. It's like, you know, that thick. And there's no way I'm going to get through that in a month or in the remainder of the month. And if I do, it will be at the expense of everything else. So I have about 5 different Paddington books that I picked up at the most recent Lifeline book fair for $2 each. And, you know, last night I was feeling a bit of the lockdown blues. So I logged out of Twitter on my phone, like properly completely logged out, picked up a Paddington book, and that's where I am at the moment. So I'll be back to wrap up this readathon probably at the end of the month at this stage. Until then, happy reading.